Thank you very much for coming and listening, coming and listening to me also, or to everybody. And also thanks to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to actually share something what I learned during my journey of building a product with voice AI. So I think I will, so who I am, sorry. First, I'm Swati. I am a product person. I'm a senior product manager at Criteo. And I'm going to be speaking from my experience of building Vibe CB here. Right? So before I go further, can I have a show of hands if you have talked to an AI, a voice AI, for over an hour? For over an hour. Okay. 2, 3 people. Okay. Let's lower the bar. 30 minutes? Or those automated calls? It's a kill fournisseur. I don't know. I am not speaking the French, but you know the spam calls that you get for the fournisseur? Okay. It's difficult. So last year, actually, I had a use case of extracting a professional experience via the conversation, voice conversation, and then converting into a CV. So that was my use case, and the product was the Vibe CV. So I started building this voice CV that could talk to someone about their career and turn that conversation into a CV, and very quickly I ran into interesting things. I didn't want it to spend a lot of time to show you how it works, because the main thing is actually the longer conversation and the tips. So that's the product. But what I learned, most AI systems are designed for short interactions. So customer support calls, the booking appointments, those conversations actually last what, 3 to 10 minutes, right? But a real conversation, which we are going to have after this when we will network, right? Where do you work? What have you built? What decisions you made? That conversation can easily last more than an hour, right? So very quickly, I realized something. If I want to build anything meaningful with this voice AI, that has to last more than an hour, or at least it cannot just survive the 10 minutes sprint. It has to be a longer conversation. Okay, so let's talk stats already. You've seen the product very quickly. So the first batch of testers, I could already see they were dropping at 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Here you can see all the way from 10 minutes to 1 hour. And with each iterations, I was learning to say why they are dropping, because the voice AI was keep talking over them, or did not actually pick up what they were saying, misread the communication. So each iteration was learning for me, and the tuning process that I went through, and how I was able to at least sustain the conversation, including myself, for over an hour with the help of those tuning. So let's jump right in. Some you might already know, others this might resonate. First thing, end of interrogation. What that means. The first thing that broke was the conversation rhythm itself. Most AI systems, including the way I also went about it, follow a very simple loop. Question, answer, next question. This is simple, right? Sounds logical. But what happens in practice, it feels like a police interrogation, right? There is no reaction. What's next? So of course you get a very rich conversation information, but this is very mechanical. And that small thing matters, because when there is a human conversation, if you're going to tell me something, I'm going to respond to it before I pivot to another conversation, right? Very small tweak. So what I did, constrain the AI to say react first. Either you reinforce the message, or you ask a follow-up question, and then you pivot to the next one. And that simple change, I would say, made the flow of the conversation easier. So I don't know how many of you, when the ChatGPT was launched, when you used to have the conversation on the chat, right, it was disconnected. And eventually it gets so much better, you can keep on chatting for an hour. In voice, I think we are getting there. It's not there, but at least when I built it, it wasn't. So it's not ingrained, of course, you have to build that. So that's the first thing, to flow of conversation. The second thing that broke was the script, because of course, we will write the script, right? Ask this question. It's a very linear flow. So you will say, step 1, ask this. Step 2, ask this. Step 3, ask that. But humans don't talk like that. right? I'm going to ask you about your professional experience or even anything, and you will tell me about a project, or you might jump into a leadership story, or you might say a technology or software you used 5 years ago. So it jumps. So what happens then? Uh, when what happens in this situation? A scripted system either ignores the user that they are, jumping off the topic, or they will break the script. So instead of the linear script, what happened is I organized the conversation, and here I need to press into independent buckets. So let's say these are the buckets like career, tech, skills, project impacts, and the user is talking, and then suddenly they start talking about their skills or the tech stack they use. So the AI is able to jump from one topic to the other topic easily without, uh, yeah, even if the script is broken, basically, according to like original. So the goal is doesn't means like, oh, we allowed it AI to hop from one topic to another. No, you still have to finish each bucket. So the goal is to complete each bucket, but the order becomes flexible. So it's not like I'm going to ask you question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the order. Order can be anything, and we can hop easily between topics, but it's going to be flexible. Okay. So I can't stop it anymore, but this is an example. One of the scripts I took from the recordings to. Yes, but I did do some team management when okay. I was working for. I plugged two recordings at once, so you're thinking that. So I'm just going to hop that over. What happened right there is actually the AI asked a question. Tell me about this job. She answered, no, I haven't managed anybody, but I'm going to tell you something I did 5 years ago. So then she said, okay, but that's not enough depth you're giving me to go to another career discussion. So I'm going to bring you back to this. So thank you for telling me about that and then bringing back. So I wanted to actually show you that recording when I pressed voice. So let's move forward. So depth over hopping, good. Now we can hop the conversation, great. Once we allowed the AI to move to another topics, another problem appeared. The conversation started jumping too quickly. So someone would mention project, and the AI would move to another topic. Oh, you want to talk about that project? Let's go talk about it. But there's not enough depth in that. Now, what happens, because this product that I was building about Vibe CV, which means you're going to talk, you will extract a very good stories, and the CV is going to be awesome. And if there is no depth in the CV, it's a list of bullet points. The CV that I am saying, you're going to get a CV real time, the output is going to be shallow. And as soon as you cut the call, you get the CV, and you will see the output is shit, right? So it's very, very important to have, at least for this product, to have not have the shallow information. So what I did is I added another constraint, which is, oh, sorry, we'll listen to this. Okay, I'm going to stop because it's a little bit long recording. But what's happening here, what I did is actually, I asked, okay, you can stay in the buckets. I didn't add bucket here. You can stay in the bucket, but there were completion thresholds. So when you are in a career bucket, you need to make sure there is enough depth the speaker is going to before you actually close off and say this bucket is done. So I created certain parameters. The user needs to show the numbers. The user needs to talk about XYZ thing. What was the impact? Usually if you're going for a CV, if you've ever gone to somebody for a CV help, the kind of question they ask you to scratch the surface and get the real content out of you, those are some parameter and say, how did this user score in each bucket? 5 out of 5, provided 3 out of 5, and the certain threshold is reached, okay, now I can hop off. So that way we ensure that, yes, hopping between buckets is possible, but also each bucket, we go to enough depth to make it meaningful. It's not a shallow bullet points thing. So yeah, this is that. And the recording was showing, actually, it's a little bit big recording and I'm going over time, so I'm going to skip that. In the recording, the user was saying, I manage teams, and the AI kept on going. How many? What kind of tasks you give? What's the outcome of the team? So like, go get real thing out of that. The final thing, which I also need to do right now, which is to breathe, is the final thing that broke wasn't actually AI. That's human. Even if a conversation is interesting, nobody can stay in the interview mode for an hour. It's mentally exhausting, right? So what I introduced is called breathers. Every 20 minutes, every X minutes, drop the tone that you're talking about, lower the tone, crack a joke, which is very difficult when you have multicultural. If you have to localize that, and or just say something light, and it doesn't need to be 1 minute, but it's something a little bit of a humor that can reset that cognitive load, and then we go again. I did that because I was talking with the AI a lot, and I needed the break. And sometimes I just wanted to talk a little bit before I could move on. So this technique also helped, and I think, and I can show you.
Just like how you interrupted you, you hadn't finished stating one minute, or just a second, something more to add. Since you chose to focus on.
Yeah, so here I chose not to show you a joke. I inserted a very poor joke before, but point being, you change the tone, the move, you lighten up a little, and then you can carry on. Okay, one last thing you already noticed is accent, right? Why did I chose that accent? So people can talk longer when they feel linguistically comfortable, right? If I start speaking in French right now, I'm sure you will be exhausted after 1 hour. We will not be able to network. So accent plays a bigger role than we actually expect. So if voice feels unfamiliar, people subconsciously spend a lot of mental effort try to understand the speaker rather than the conversation that's happening. So that's why that was a very intentional choice to put the accent that I put, because the testers were of a certain let's say location, right? So yeah, that's and that was coming also from my personal experience, having a mentor who was a Scottish. So every time I had a session with this mentor, I would have to take 2 hours of a break afterwards just to breathe and come back to my normal working state. All that is good. So these are all the tips I would say I have. But after doing all that, because I'm a product manager, and at the end we are getting judged at how do we measure. So I looked at 3 things: engagement ratio. Are the user giving 10 words or a story? And that's a very clear sign if the user is dropping at 10 minutes or 1 hour. Miss and hits, it still happens where AI steps over and talks over you, misinterprets the conversation. So that's one of the thing. Outcome, this is the key leading KPI for me. If the output of the CV is shallow, it's not going to fly. It's not going to work for me. I'm not going to use that CV for myself. So the outcome needs to really show, the user needs to really feel the conversation captured was meaningful or was something different that they would have created by, talking for 2 hours with ChatGPT. So that has to feel different. So because the goal was not just a long conversation, the goal of the conversation is that produce a high value information. So with that, I just want to give a takeaway. The real challenge of the conversation is, the 4 things I should have the 5th one, is a respond before pivot, allow topic hopping, because that's how we all talk, insist on the deeper conversations, because we are here for something, for a career discussion to extract the stories, and then lower the cognitive load so that the conversation can go longer. And I did not put the accent. This is just to say I started with, voice API, I will plug in and then only to realize there is a whole conversation system that needs to be done to achieve that. Thank you, everyone. That's all I have.